now.
Almost fat.
It's pretty cool. I'm going to pull up my stats too on my iPad while we're here, just to see what's the latest and greatest.
All right, people are joining the show. Let's get this started. Hello, everybody. I'm Justin. I'm your regular host of Torn Tuesday, and I'm joined by an all-star one-ring panel to debut the results of round 2 of Middle-earth March Madness. This is the results show. If you've ever watched any reality competition, you know that there's a results show every week, and this is it for round 2 of Middle-earth March Madness. Around me, you'll see some of our awesome regulars. Rasputin, the evil Balrog. She is internet famous for having the job you want, as Sauron wearing the helm to work. We're also joined by Kathy, our Middle Earth travel expert extraordinaire. Chelsea, who has hosted Torn Tuesday with us for many years and runs High Voltage magazine. Kalasuri is our co-founder of the OneRing.net, and he's going to be managing the presentation today. And of course, Jim Wirt, all the way from Georgia, I believe, who's a regular at Dragon Con and just an all-around wonderful follow on Instagram and Twitter. I believe you've
Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, yeah.
Everywhere.
And Joel, don't forget Joel.
And then you've got Joel Bion, who has his video turned off, but we hear him all the same.
Yeah.
Joel's a longtime staffer with the One Ring as well, and mainly, I would say technical side of things, right, Joel?
Yeah, the person I've interacted most was with one of the other big cheeses of the site, Powers That Be, as they're called, which is Corvar.
Yep.
So I tend to be on that side of things.
Oh, yeah. So did you help with the big overhaul of the website?
Oh, no. He did all that lifting on his own. I'm trying to get the Ring reviews back online little by little.
Oh, there you go. Cool. It's always nice to play with old code.
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
All right, so we've got we've already gone through the round 1 and narrowed down 64 matchups to 32, and tonight we're going to tell you who won the round 2 matchups as we go into Sweet 16. So I'm going to hand it over to Kalasuri, and he's going to walk us through everything.
All right,
I'm excited and nervous.
Here we go, folks.
Ooh.
Here we go. Well, this number is actually a little bit out of date. We crossed over 5,000 people participating in our round 2, and as you can see, the breakdown by country, we had a 99% completion rate on the survey, which is great. So that means people are obviously engaged in the categories and everything. But let's look at each division, and we're going to start with the Tearjerker Division. And these are our matchups coming into this round. As you can see, some very, very popular sequences. I think we're just going to get right to it because we started a little late. So we're going to get going, and let's get to our first matchup. We have the 16th seed, You Bow to No One, versus Eomer finds Eowyn on the Pelennor Fields. Any commentary? Any guesses from our panel here?
Come on, Bow to No One.
I think it's going to be Eowyn. I think that's going to take it.
I want it to be Eomer finding Eowyn, but I don't think it's going to take it, even though that's the one you cry for. The other one is not one you cry for, but that's just my own opinion.
I don't know. The Hobbit's being bowed to by everybody. That's pretty intense.
Yeah, that's pretty
It's intense, but it doesn't make me cry. It makes me happy.
Is one of the most resonant scenes that everybody remembers from the movie. I think that it's gonna I don't know. I'm an Eomer girl all the way, but I don't think that that's gonna carry it as much as
all right, let's see what the audience shows. And by the way, that you'll see the percentage of the votes for the particular winner after the little transition here. Ooh, it's doing that transition. Pretty
Uh-huh.
cool. And here's our winner. You
There
gotta
you
know
go.
him. It's
Oh,
73% of the
landslide.
vote. Let's see if we can play this or not.
That was nerve-wracking.
Well, it looks like
Yep.
we get a nice still picture. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I'm already crying.
I'm gonna cry right now. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, right? Like, it's already going.
And then the shot back with the everybody bowing.
That's right. This was way underseeded, guys. The 16 seed.
Ugh.
I mean, when this scene beat out the Grey Havens in round 1, I mean, that is strong. That's
Yeah,
Yep.
because the Grey Havens is a weep fest.
that was probably the matchup that killed me the most in round 1. I was like, I don't even know if I can go on after this.
Yeah. Yep. So
And this
So
is
we had
another really hard one.
yep, we had Theoden's death here at the 4th seed with against the 12th seed. There's some good in this world.
Yeah.
Panel, what do we think here?
I really want it to be there's some good in this world. I don't think it's going to go with that, but it's just a good message for right now.
Yeah, it is a good message. Although I keep reminding that right after that is by rights we shouldn't be here, and how book purists are all like, of course not.
No, I
Whereas-
think Theoden captured the hearts of a lot of people, so I think that's going to take it.
Oh yeah, the I'm going to save you and Theoden's response, you already have.
Yeah, I think that was such a beautiful portrayal of a scene specifically in the book that people really love.
Yeah.
Especially like coming from the previous round where you had to make Sophie's choice between Éomer finding Éowyn and then coming to this one and going, oh, well, at least we've got to get one of those Rohirrim death scenes in there.
Jim, what do you
Okay.
think here?
Yeah, I've got to advocate. Well, my Twitter handle is Mad Eye Gamgee, so I'm gonna always advocate for Sam. But honestly, in the segregated quarantine world that we're in today, I think everybody's looking for that speech. I think
Oh,
everybody
that's
wants to hear
amazing for
there
that.
is going there's good in the world and it's worth fighting for. So I'm gonna pull for the 12th seed.
Not to mention the entire buildup of the speech to that point is so relevant today. It's literally could be, said by, if we, I don't want to go in politics, but if we had someone that was leading, could say that, and we would all be like, oh, yes. All right, so here we go.
If we had someone.
There we
who-
go.
I'm 0 for 2.
69% of the audience voted
And
for
what was
this.
funny was in the first round, this scene beat out Sam carrying Frodo.
Yeah.
Saying, if I can't
right.
carry the ring, I can carry you.
Another
And
great-
this scene beat that one out.
I'm speechless right now. I didn't see that coming and I'm so happy.
Now the Theoden death
Also,
is a
this
great
now
scene.
means that I have to vote between this scene and bow to no one next time. No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
God.
what gets me is at the end of this is the fact that Gollum realizes, he's listening to it.
There's
He's
some
touched
good
by
world in
it,
this world. It's
and
worth
he's
fighting.
on the wrong side of it.
Oh, all right. Next up, this is a tough start. Starting with this division.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out in the chat room. Shout out to all the people watching from New Zealand. We see you. Hello, hello to a lot of our regulars, Pipsgay, and you guys are just as debating this as we are. Hello, Malaysia. Hello, more New Zealand folks.
Nice.
Hello, Utah. Hello, Vista, California. It's great to see all of you. Thank you for tuning in to the results show. Here we go. The next bracket. Go
Number
ahead.
11 seed, Sam Farewell's Frodo takes the ring after Shelob's sting versus number 3, the strong number 3, I would say, the Fellowship reacts to Gandalf's Fall in Moria, which we were talking the other day, the music alone. Oh, well, I mean, Howard Shore's composition.
But
in all
that
of them.
solo, that young boy solo, and particularly Pippin's reaction. Pippin and Frodo.
And
Nicole, what do we got here?
Sam's reaction is pretty strong in that one too.
Yep.
Wait.
And still the only music from Lord of the Rings to ever be licensed for another movie.
Yep. Superman.
I say no context. I say that it's no contest in this one that it's Gandalf's fault.
Yeah, I'd agree.
We have a universal panel here.
Yeah.
And what is Jim? What are you showing us, Jim?
That's let me turn my thing off. I got a friend who does art, and he burns it into buckskin. So he did a buckskin version of Sam Gamgee that looks like this, and it's kind of 3D and.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh wow!
So this is why I'm going with
Your
Gandalf.
Sam.
Gandalf's. No, he's going with Gandalf's fall.
Yeah. The other scene's great, but I think the Fellowship
The
reaction.
chat room agrees. It has to be Gandalf. Let's see who wins. Of
And it
course.
is Gandalf.
Woo!
Yep.
3 for 3.
80%. Yeah.
Yeah, significant win there for Gandalf, but not so much winning at this scene.
Or did he though?
Tough these choices seem, and yet everybody seems to be coming
God,
to the
this-
same conclusions. The overwhelming.
This
Okay.
reminds me so much of just again. I brought this up on our mid-round show Friday night or wherever that was, and just just the vision of everything in these films, in these original trilogy, just the slow motion, the cinematography, the effects. I mean, you don't know that's digital effects. Like they're just, it comes together. You're not thinking about digital effects at these moments. You're thinking about this sequence and
Yeah.
the emotion of this moment. And for those people who don't know the books, they're like, what? You know, how did this
we
happen?
kill off the main character in the first of a trilogy?
Right. So it's
Again,
pretty.
I had not read the books when the movies came out, and I was totally
You were pimping,
blindsided
weren't you?
by this.
And
I think
you
that's-
totally you see you see Legolas even shook up, you know? It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think Justin, you made the point about the music on this one, and we lost that because we can't show that. But it also illustrates how important. I went through and looked at all the tearjerker scenes, and the music in that one is just rending. It's so appropriate. Howard Shore was another character in the Fellowship at that point.
And by the way, Aragorn ducking that arrow like a boss.
Yeah.
Thank you, Skylar, for that comment.
All right, so now we're into the last remaining Hobbit trilogy piece, with Bilbo saying goodbye to the dwarves versus the Boromir's death sequence.
You know, the disrespect shown to the Hobbit throughout
It's not
this
disrespect.
competition.
It's not. Get out of here.
Oh
Disrespect.
man!
How about
You
the
are such a
disrespect
conspiracy
of
theorist.
green
We don't
screen?
need it.
How about the disrespect of green screen? That's disrespect.
I think with everybody getting used to trying to use Zoom backgrounds on their video conferencing, we should have a little bit more respect for how challenging it is to do green screen work.
Yes, but a professional movie studio versus my $200 PC.
Right.
I'm just saying, maybe we should go back and give it a rewatch and a little bit of slack there.
I did give it a little rewatch the other week. Ugh.
The
Anyway.
chat room says there's
Yeah.
no chance this is even close.
All right.
Yeah, don't kill Sean Bean, guys.
We're so emotionally attached to the first movie. I mean, I noticed that when we were even like coming up with what scenes just immediately popped into our head as iconic when we were creating the brackets. So many of us are just so emotional about that first movie and that first experience. And so many of those scenes
Right.
have stuck with us so much more. It was interesting to see how many more of them there were just as options that people wanted to feature. And I'm curious to see how that's going to continue to play out if those scenes are the ones that people continue to love the most.
Yep,
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be Boromir's death, but man, I'm gonna miss Bilbo.
Hmm.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. This was a nice Bilbo scene.
Yeah.
Boromir's death has the strength to come out of this whole region. I think. He's
All right. Let's see what happens here in the final matchup. Is this the final one? Yeah.
For Tearjerker, yeah.
Yep. This is the final one of the Tearjerker Division. Goodbye. Be at peace, son of Gondor.
Yeah.
78%.
Oh,
Oh,
poor
here,
Bilbo.
you want to cry. You want to cry. Here we go. Because this is gut-wrenching for me.
Yeah.
This is...
But what I love is the fact that, again, when it came to when you've read the book, and of course he has more arrows in him when he reads the book, but one of the iconic things is the fact that he's surrounded by Uruk-hai bodies.
Yeah.
And so when you see Legolas come through and he's surrounded by bodies, it's like, wow, he did it, you know? So they matched it well with the book. I also love the fact that the hobbits, for a while, they were fighting and were hardcore. They're like, Warmers come to help us. Let's get in on this.
Yeah. Ugh.
You know, this just makes me realize between Gandalf and this scene, the Fellowship, we cry over loss and pain and death, and into Two Towers, we cry over despair and the loss of hope, and then by the third movie, we're crying over love and triumph.
Yeah. Very true.
Pair-ups for next time. Gandalf's fall versus Boromir's death. My
Ugh.
goodness.
God.
Oh, yeah.
That's the tough one.
And bad on no one and some good in this world. You were right. Oh, yeah.
Remember the screening back a million years ago that we had at AFI of Fellowship when people came out for Bullmoot, and everybody in the screening room is crying and sobbing, and my friend leans over to me and she whispers, "Why aren't you crying, you cold-hearted bitch?" And I busted out laughing so hard I almost got kicked out. It was
Oh, that's hilarious.
people have
I
strong
have to say, it's very fascinating in this bracket for the next round that you've got the 12th and 16th seed have
Yeah.
still made it into this round and they're against each other, and then the second and third. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't end up with 1, 2, 3, and 4 moving right along.
Yeah, well, the seeds aren't entirely scientific.
Right.
No, because we weren't, yeah, I mean, what was it? Only about 9 people voted, 9 staffers?
Yeah, I think it was about 9 staffers that did the seating. But that's usually, I don't know. We do this every year. It's done it since 2012. This wasn't the most participation we had from our staff in voting because this was really hard voting. This was just me. When you're looking at these things and trying to evaluate every single one, giving our own staff votes for this stuff to get them in the seeds. I mean, it was challenging. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, it was.
So
Hey, 9 is
what
enough
do
to
you
get to Mordor.
what do you call a Cinderella team in Middle Earth? Can't be Cinderella.
No, it can't be Cinderella. What would it be? It would be a Frodo, right? I mean, because the odds of him getting right and destroying the ring. I mean,
A little hobbit, yeah, a little hobbit getting all the way. You know, it's like
it
even
would
the
be a
smallest person.
Frodo.
Yep.
I think it would be a Frodo.
I'm going with Rosie. She gets a
The long shot.
It's a Rosie.
That's
Bill the Pony, who made it back to the Shire after all that.
Bill the Pony, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so
Yeah.
all right, let's go around the table real quick for this division, and let's start. Justin, let's give your comment. What scenes are coming out of this next round?
You Bow to No One is going to the Final Four.
And what about the other matchup here? Who's winning between Gandalf and Boromir?
Coin flip.
The Hobbit.
Wrong. Next. All right, we're skipping you, Nicole. What are your matchups? What's your results coming out of this one?
Oh my God. I would go. I need my cat to help me decide. Obviously, he likes to help. I think that, like I said, I think Bow to No One has incredible resonance with people, and I think it's gonna go all the way. As far as Gandalf's fall versus Boromir's death, that is just, I can't even speculate. But
I don't even want to know what I'm going to vote for.
I would personally go with Gandalf's fall for myself. But as I said, people have strong feelings about Boromir's death, so I don't want to mess with those people.
Chelsea, what's yours coming out of this?
It hurts, Precious. It hurts. I have no earthly idea what I'm going to vote for.
You got to do it right now. You're on the panel. You got to do it.
Okay. Gut feeling. I want some good in this world because I actually want some good in this world.
Right. Yep.
So I think I'm gonna go there, and as much as like I was team don't kill Sean Bean, I think we're killing Sean Bean, guys. Gandalf fall.
Jim?
Well, so yeah, I agree with Chelsea on the good in the world because I think there's so many people who are hungry for good in the world. So I'm going with the 12 seed on
And
that one. And then I think it's Boromir's death. I think.
yeah,
I think
will,
2 seed
okay.
goes.
Joel?
Yep, I gotta agree with that last reading because we've wanted some good in this world since this movie first came out, honestly. And it's hoping for that. So I think that's going to carry through over Bow to No One. And I just think there were so many people who became such a fan of Sean Bean's performance in the movie, especially after the roughhousing with the Hobbit scene, that Boromir's death is going to make it through. And between some good in this world and Boromir's death, I think Boromir's death is going to carry the day and be the final one.
All right, Kathy?
Oh, there might be a coin involved. You know, originally I was almost sure that Sam carrying Frodo up Mount Doom was going to make it out of that pairing. But this coming out of, was it Two Towers? I remember at our Oscar party how several of our guests were like, we thought for sure Sam, that he was going to get nominated for that because of this sequence. So I kind of got to go with some good in this world. Gandalf and Boromir both make me cry. But I gotta say Boromir's death, because it was his redemption after what he had done with Frodo. And showed his true heart in trying to save the two hobbits. And of course, we all knew Gandalf was coming back, even though the Fellowship was absolutely devastated. We knew he was coming back. And so Boromir's death is more final.
Yep. I'm going to go with some good in this world as well. Again, relevancy to modern times. I am going to vote for Boromir's death, but if there's anything I've learned in my entire years of marketing,
everyone loves Gandalf.
Everyone loves Gandalf, and it doesn't matter. Literally, context will not matter. And Gandalf will win. Not that it's a bad sequence, but I think you have the added benefit for that contender of the entire Fellowship reacting.
Well, not to mention that if we're judging this off of the movies, and as a tearjerker, there was a lot of people that didn't read the books before they saw this film.
Right.
They did not know that Gandalf.
Because see, Justin is going to vote for Gandalf's fall. Mm-hmm. Correct, Justin?
Absolutely.
See, and he represents the audience I'm speaking about, which will vote for Gandalf's fall. So I think he's going to make it into that round, the next round. But I sure wish Boromir's death, just for the depth of it, was amazing. So let's move on. We are moving into the Scenic Division.
I'm seriously like shaking, nervous.
So we have to vote on this tomorrow.
Hey, we've
all right. So
new people
that's only one division.
Broadcast, Arnie and a bunch of regulars saying, "Hey, I thought you guys were only live on Tuesday." Well, this is a special results show for round 2 of Middle Earth March Madness. We're going to be streaming live the results at the end of every round of Middle Earth March Madness. So get your votes in tomorrow after we show you the rest of the winners. And we've got an all-star panel right now about to talk about and debate the merits of each scene. Take it away, Chris.
All right, so we have the Scenic Division up now. We're not going to go over the matches because we'll go by them one by one here. We have the Witch King leaving Minas Morgul and the Lighting of the Beacons. I'm pretty sure there's a clear winner here, but any dissenting opinions?
It's the number 1 seed.
Yeah, it's number 1 for a reason.
I want everyone's prediction of how far in the lead Lighting the Beacons got. I'm going.
Yeah, what percentage? Yep.
83%.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's definitely over 75, probably over 80.
Yeah, I would definitely go with over.
87.
I'm all in on lighting the beacons going all the way. In fact, I declared early on that if lighting the beacons doesn't win this whole thing, I'm calling shenanigans.
That's right. That was you, wasn't it?
All right, here we go. No surprise. What's the percentage? 86%.
Wow.
Honestly, in the Hobbit movies, without having read the book, I kind of expected a similar lighting the beacon scene at the Battle of the Five Armies, where the dwarves of Moria light something that attract the rest of the dwarves.
Why? They have crows. They just didn't use the crows the way they did in the books, but
they have big worms too. Did you notice there was big worms in that movie?
Oh,
By
yeah.
chance?
Dune suddenly showed up.
I love this sequence. Look at this. Look at the cinematography in this sequence. This is insane.
And the music makes you want to fly. Yeah. The music makes you want to get out of your seat and fly.
We had a beacon at our Return of the King party.
Mm-hmm.
We certainly did. And we had a fire marshal who thought he was going to shut us down for
it. and further, this is a perfect example of where Peter Jackson got it right and made changes from the book to make something far more cinematic and memorable. This is where it was done perfectly.
But while keeping the heart of Tolkien, you know?
And then it keeps going. Yeah. It keeps going.
In the book, the beacons don't even make it all the way to Rohan.
Can I ask somebody a question? In Two Towers, when Theoden is kind of chastising Aragorn, like, where was Gondor when we needed help? And did the beacon fires not work in both directions?
No, they wouldn't in the book, because they don't make it all the way to Rohan. It goes about halfway, and then riders or something have to pick it up.
And in the book, it's almost an afterthought of conversation between Pippin and Gandalf.
I mean, is there an implication maybe the Theoden did that maybe the beacons were lit from Rohan
and nobody showed up? Didn't show up. I just always had wondered if it was a two-way communication or not.
I mean, there's certainly an implication that they should have been aware that there was some means by which Gondor should have been aware of what was going on in Rohan and just didn't come. So, I mean, otherwise it would be kind of a pointless conversation for him to have.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's move on to the next matchup here. We have the 5 seed Saruman looking over his army pretty impressively, and then the Fellowship seeing Rivendell for the first time. Really, this is Frodo waking up in Rivendell and seeing Rivendell for the first time.
Yeah, it's him waking up and then wandering through. I mean, it's basically through him and the 3 other hobbits. That's how we see it, because everyone's pointed out the Fellowship didn't exist until they were leaving Rivendell. But yeah, you're right.
So what do we got here? What do we got here, folks?
It's gonna be Rivendell.
It's Rivendell. That was
Rivendell.
Yeah, I think it's probably Rivendell because it's so beautiful.
All right, let's see.
Everybody wants to live with the elves.
That's true. Rivendell with 60. It was a closer matchup with 62% of the vote. Because people like their baddies too. So.
Yeah, particularly if they've got so much badness that they make Wormtongue cry.
True enough.
I know Christy from the Tolkien Forever group here in LA, who costumes as Saruman is going to be very disappointed that not.
Welcome to Rivendell.
Pullback shot in Isengard through the spears was pretty epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to this matchup. We got the 3rd seed, the Fellowship going over the mountain pass against the 6th seed, the Fellowship sailing past the Argonath. This wasn't that hard for me, and I'll tell you why. Ultimately, I think the mountain pass sequence, because it was in that trailer that premiered 20 years ago on Tuesday, it didn't lose its luster necessarily. It's just I was used to seeing it, whereas Argonath, people were waiting for it, I think, and interested in what it was. So that's why I voted for that one.
Yeah.
I would say I came to the opposite conclusion, because many people's first visual experience with the whole trilogy was that mountain pass scene.
That's
true. It contains that kind of imprinting, like a duckling to a mama duck or something. This is
Yeah, and the silhouette is still used.
Yeah.
Well, and the whole mountain pass scene it's all part of this ring goes south. So there's lots of epic shots around it with lots of great New Zealand scenery and then some CGI buildings. So it's a pretty powerful scene. I'd like the Argonaut to win, but I think the mountain pass is gonna do it.
Yeah, I like the Argonaut just because I don't think anyone was prepared for how big it was going to be. You know, when you get it and you know, from a distance you see it and it's really tall and it's on the mountains and stuff like that, and you sort of see the boats, but again, you know, you're dealing with aspect ratio. And then as you see them sailing by it, and literally you can see it's a sandalfoot.
The Argonaut is outstanding. And the chat room it agrees with me here that Argonaut is just epic.
What about Chelsea?
Mountain Pass.
Okay. And Nicole, I don't think we heard you on this one yet.
I concur that the mountain pass is the scene that is the most iconic in so many people's heads when they think of it's like the first thing you think of when you think of these movies, even all these years later, because it was the first thing that we saw and it stuck in our heads. Personally, I always get really hung up on the Argonaut scene because I'm totally convinced that there's an error when they come past it and you see it from the other side, that their arms are switched from on one side. They're switched.
Don't ruin it for me. Stop it.
We have a great comment from Skylar White in the chat room that says, "When I saw the Argonaut on film, it was one of the greatest things I had ever seen.
Wow.
But the Mountain Pass, on the other hand, is the first time I saw it, I knew who every character was even before seeing the movie. It was a brilliant shot that showcased the amazing character design."
Yeah, it's true. It's true too. All right, let's see what the results are. The Argonaut.
Wow, the Argonaut.
72% of the vote. There you go.
This is the first one that I have not gotten.
Yeah. Well, and what gets me on the Argonaut is that, again, because they put it on a poster before the movie came out, you were slightly spoiled. I would have loved to have not been spoiled by the imagery and to see it for the first time on the film, and just been in awe because it's such an awe-inspiring scene. But
that's right. Esther in the chat room says, which chat room are they talking about? We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope all at the same time. So we're watching hundreds of comments from all of you viewers around the world. It's great to see your input and to see how you guys are voted. So let's take a look at the next matchup.
We've got number 7, Eowyn, standing in front of Meduseld, which is, you know, another scenic moment, followed by the 15th seed, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli running through Rohan. I want to say this was one of the closer matchups of this round.
I've been to both locations.
And well, we'll start with you, Kathy. Then, what do you think comes out of this matchup?
What's nice about the heroic 3 running through is obviously you get to see the rivers and the grasslands and the rocks and the mountains and stuff. But with Eowyn's shot and the fact that they pull back is you get the entire valley all in one shot. It's the first time we hear the Norwegian fiddle. That is the Rohan theme. You see the wind flying and so much that you see the banner fly off, and you see her isolation. So it's character and location and environment all in one scene. So
and technical execution and sets and design, like it just
and weather. And...
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love me some Eowyn, and that's the scene.
Yeah, and Meduseld, my favorite set of the entire trilogy, and seeing that banner fly away just sealed it for me in terms of a scene that a touch like that would be added. It was perfect.
Wasn't that a mistake at first?
I think it was
probably
a mistake at first.
I think it ripped off, and then they said, "Let's keep it."
Yeah, and so that's why then they have it fall at Aragorn's feet as they're riding up to the gate.
You don't get those happy accidents in CGI. You just don't.
Well, that's true.
No, that valley is very, very windy. It's kind of why part of the reason, one of the things they had to contend with is it's a very windy valley.
Chelsea?
Or not, the choice was made to keep it, and it was the right choice.
Yeah.
Honestly, this one is really hard for me. It's like a 50-50 toss-up, and I pretty much eeny, meeny, miny mode and went with Rohan.
Nicole?
I think the Eowyn in front of Metacell is just a really beautiful interpretation of something that we've pictured in our heads from the book. Running Through Rohan has some memorable, cute moments of dialogue, but as far as the actual scenery itself, for all that it's still a beautiful part of New Zealand, that particular scene is just not as memorable as that moment of seeing Edoras, which looks so much like it's described exactly in the book, and it's just so gorgeous.
Yeah. Jim, did we hear from you yet? I don't think we
I agree. I think it's Medusa. I think that matches most readers' imagination of what it looked like. And Mount Sunday is an absolutely amazing spot. For me, the whole countryside of Rohan just didn't fit as well with the kind of horse grasslands that are described in the book. So it wasn't as much of a match. So I'll go with Eowyn in front of Medusa.
All right. Here we go. Let's see how the fans voted.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I have 6 words for
going
you.
For the boys.
Wow, 58%. So it was really just a tight, close call.
Let me just say something. Well, actually, no, Justin, you're probably going to say what I'm going to say. Go ahead.
I have 6 words for you. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
Oh.
Guard. Yeah.
No, here's the thing. I was pulling the clip for this. I was pulling the clip for the winner, and I'm like, I'm sorry, internet voting is wrong here. This is not at all.
The chat room agrees with you, Chris. The chat room
this is not a scenic sequence. Let's just look at. I mean, I pulled this. I pulled the.
Closest call we've had yet.
I pulled this sequence, and it's not that great. When you're talking about Eowyn standing at Meadowsell, I mean, it's not even close. This is not even close.
It looks like Thousand Oaks.
Again, it's the fangirls. It's the 3 boys.
This is the dwarves are meant for sprinting scene too.
And right before this, yep.
What do your elf eyes see?
And this whole category, I want to give a shout out to what's his name, Jeff Murphy. Rest in peace, with Andrew Lesney. But Jeff Murphy was the helicopter unit, 2nd unit director that was responsible for most of these iconic landscape scenes because he was a native New Zealander who had directed 10 films himself and just knew the entire landscape of New Zealand like the back of his hand. And the movies wouldn't have looked this good without Jeff Murphy. And it's incredible loss that he's no longer with us. And it's a loss to Amazon for not having that intelligence of New Zealand available to them for the new show.
So on that note, let's look at the Sweet 16, the final combatants here. Some surprises in this division.
Ryan in the chat room says a viral meme should not determine the winner.
Exactly. I agree. In my opinion, I'm going to start here. I'm going to go with Please Be Sailing Past Argonath, but I have a feeling it might not. And Lighting the Beacons. I think Lighting the Beacons is one of the stronger ones for the entire tournament.
I agree.
Let's go backwards. Let's go to Joel. Joel, you there?
There.
Oh, let's go to Jim.
Sorry, I had to hit.
Oh, no, there's Joel. Okay, there's Joel.
There we go. Sorry about that. I think on this one, it's very easy. Lighting Beacons will take it because people are not only voting for the camera work, they're voting for the soundtrack during that scene.
Yep.
And that's some of Howard Shore's best work for all 6 films, to be perfectly honest.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that'll take it. I think that between Running Through Rohan and Sailing Past Argonath, neither will compete. Neither will Rivendell. Beacon just goes through.
All right, so you have a guess for the next matchup though between
the guess for Sailing Past Argonath and Running Through Rohan? Sure, give it. I'm going to say, look, Running Through Rohan. That seems to have a power that mystifies us, and that power will continue up to the Beacons.
Can you believe Running Through Rohan beat Gandalf arriving in the Shire and Eowyn at Meadowsell? I mean, come on. I mean,
Gandalf Rising the Shire, one of those opening sequences that made you realize, I mean, right from the beginning, you are in Middle Earth.
right, exactly. All right, Kathy, we're gonna go to you since you're on. What's your choices in these next round?
Well, lighting the beacons has always been one of my choices for the final four, and most likely for the final two. Just because it's one of those sequences, if I'm listening to in the car, I'm in danger of speeding because I want to fly.
Nice.
And sailing past the Argonath, it's just so grand. I mean, like I said, I've been to Poolburn, which is where Running Through Rowan is, and all those rocks really are there. It's a sheep farm because you really can't do anything else with it because of all the rocks.
All of New Zealand is a sheep
I mean,
farm.
it is surrounded by snow-covered mountains, so it's gorgeous, but the point of the sequence is not to show that because it's really all that yellow tussocky grass.
Okay. So what are you choosing? You're choosing the sailing past
Argonath.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Nicole.
I concur. I won't even belabor the point. I already made my planted my flag on lighting the beacons, and I think that of the two, sailing past the Argonath is definitely a more picturesque moment.
Jim?
It's my Argonath.
Yeah. I think you got resounding consensus. Beacon's final four. It's going to beat the Argonath in the next round.
Chelsea.
I'm right there with everyone before. I think this is the category that's not going to be really hard for most people. Just lighting the beacons and Argonath. We're going final four. Here we come.
Justin?
Meme magic is real, and I'm going with the Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn all the way.
All right. So what about your other matchup here? You got Beacons or Fellowship?
Beacons. I could.
Okay.
Rivendell would ever throw it away.
All right. All right, now to a little lighter topics. The Laughter Division, which, isn't there some saying about laughter is...
It's the best medicine.
But it's also very personal, right? So some people find things funny, others don't. Let's see what we got here.
Like the Hobbit movies?
Hey.
All right.
Category is the break Chelsea's heart category.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to start out with our first matchup. We have number 8, Merry and Pippin welcoming Aragorn and Gandalf to Isengard.
This is Merry and Pippin on Merry and Pippin.
I know.
And then, yep. And
there was other Merry and Pippin sequences.
Number 1 seed in this division is What About Second Breakfast? So, let's go around the room real quick. What are our choices? Start with Jim.
Second Breakfast.
Joel.
Second Breakfast.
Kathy.
Well, I think Second Breakfast will win, but I really do love Merry and Pippin welcoming Aragorn and Gandalf to Isengard.
Nicole.
Second Breakfast.
Chelsea.
I'm going with Pippin.
She is wearing a bee cake shirt after all.
True. I'm team bee cake tonight. So whatever has Pippin in, I'm good.
Either one. All right. And Justin.
Second Breakfast.
Yeah, Second Breakfast. I think this is. Any guesses on the winning percentage in this one?
80%.
Over 90%, I'm going to guess.
74.
50-50.
All right. Winning on Second Breakfast.
Oh, it's like choosing a child.
64%.
Oh, it was close.
So
Not as
pretty
close.
close.
Closer than I would have guessed.
Yep.
Aaron Jackson in the chat room says, there's so many meme moments from Lord of the Rings, we could probably do a 64 bracket next year of just the
There you
best
go.
memes.
Oh, I kind of love that idea, especially if I get to be one.
I don't think he knows about Second Breakfast, Pip. Oh, this is so
What
good.
about Levensies?
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this. On that scene, when he throws the apple back at the hobbits, is that only in the extended edition?
I don't think
No, that was in the
so.
regular.
No. It was in the first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next matchup, we've got number 12, which I don't even think should be in this division at all.
I agree.
And number 13, Toss Me. Both of these, I personally think these two
Inappropriate,
are,
and therefore we're getting rid of one of them.
and they're not going to be, they're not going to make it out of this division. So for me, I'm going with Toss Me just because I do remember laughing at that sequence. I did not laugh at Full of a Took at all. I knew what was happening next, so and it was more of like it was a mean, he's being mean. Like, Gandalf was mean,
Yeah.
not it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
So
Grumpy Gandalf. Yeah.
I don't
Definitely.
know how it made it this long, but Chelsea, we're gonna start with you.
I definitely went with Toss Me because I was there with you. The other scene actually was not a humorous scene. As much as Pippin's in it, I went with Toss Me.
Nicole?
Yeah, same here. I mean, I remember when I first saw it, I appreciated the way that they drew that scene out, and how many times did we hear the helmet clank on the way down. So I thought it was well done, but it wasn't as funny.
Justin?
Yeah, Toss Me.
Jim?
Toss Me's got more legs than some of your fellow One Ring staffers would like.
Right.
Yeah. So, but like it or not, I think it's going through this round and maybe the next one.
Joel?
When I was 12 and reading Lord of the Rings the first time, I laughed at the Fool of a Took comment and Gandalf's petulance
Right.
at this moment in the book. So I have fondness for it, and I'm going to be the contrarian and say I'm hoping other people have fondness as well. And even though it's not appropriate as a laughing scene, I think this one will get votes because of that association.
Got it. Kathy? Did I already go to you, Kathy?
I'm going to go with Gimli's aside because it's, to me, it shows he now has more trust. I mean, for him to say that, he's realized he's not invincible and that he needs help and that he trusts his fellowship companions to help him.
Okay. All right, let's see what the audience chose.
There you are.
Toss Me.
That room is full of Toss Me. This is no shock.
Yeah.
And it was at around, 68%.
This whole division is shaping up to be Gimli versus Pippin.
Correctly.
Well, there's a Gimli Legolas section.
Moment coming up, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, to Shelby in the chat room that said, choosing a child, Chelsea, Denethor didn't have a problem with that.
Oh dear.
Not a word.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, the number 14th seed versus the number 11th seed. So we got two Gimli and Legolas interactions, two classic lines. I would like to add that I was trying to bias the audience to one of them by posting the entire sequence of that still only counts as one, because I know it's it's over the top. It's Luke Skywalker and the AT-AT. It's whatever, but for me, that sequence with Legolas taken down at Oliphant, I mean, that was epic. I'm sorry, that was epic. And then to end it with, that still only counts as one. It's just always got a good laugh out of me. Yeah. So that was my choice in this round. Let's go backwards. We're going to go Joel.
Still only counts as one, definitely.
Jim?
Yeah, I agree. It's a punchline, and it builds up. It's been building up not only that scene, but through the whole contest back at Helm's Deep.
Yep. Justin?
Would you like to find me a box? It slices the tension
that's true. Yeah.
Entire third act of that movie.
And it does have that great Gimli laugh thing.
Yeah. Nicole?
I think that what was great about both of these scenes is the way that they broke a tension that was building so hard.
Right.
But for me, I went with Would You Like Me to Find You a Box because I felt like it did it better. And by the time we get to Return of the King, we've had so many of those moments, and it's a continued payoff. But having to pick one versus the other, the Would You Like Me to Find You a Box, that moment of that relationship between Legolas and Gimli, the way it's been developing, and the two of them, like with that, with them going into battle together, I think that one really did more for me.
Kathy?
Yeah, I'm gonna. I do love watching Legolas surf down the trunk of the Momokill.
Right.
But when it comes to Would You Like Me to Find You a Box, it's Legolas an elf telling a joke.
Being funny.
And that's what really wins it for me, is the fact that he's telling a joke and he means it as a joke.
Yep. And Chelsea?
See, this is one of those moments where laughter is personal, because the "would you like me to find you a box" wasn't actually a moment I found funny at all. Like, I took it as more of like a serious, like, you're going to need a box, like the shit's about to get real. Like, I was like, but that still only counts as one, gets me every time. So I went with that still only counts as one.
Got it. All right, let's see what the audience chose.
Wow.
Yep. And this was the closest matchup. 100 votes separated.
Wow.
That's as close as you can get it.
Yep. That was the closest matchup of this round.
Everybody in the chat room is accurately saying that Gimli's laugh makes that scene, and I totally agree.
Let's hear it. Here it comes.
That when Gimli laughs, you basically get a sense of the entire culture of the dwarves.
There it is. All right. Is this our final matchup in this? Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
We have the number 2, Merry and Pippin lighting the fireworks, classic sequence, and then the number 10, Pippin reacting to forming the Fellowship. I laugh even thinking about it. Where are we going? Yeah. Like, he was looking at his phone instead of paying attention. Like that's sort of the modern version of it. Let's go with let's go with Chelsea, please.
It's definitely the right. Where are we going? Like that entire moment every time. It's like a standout moment from the entire trilogy for me. And I find myself quoting. Even earlier today, I was doing something around my apartment that was unrelated to this, and I was doing on this mission quest thing. Like I do it every day. Like, yeah. Where are we going?
Kathy?
Oh, this one's a hard one. I mean, I love, it's not just the fireworks, it's the great, now let's go get another one. And it's the first time, obviously, we really see Merry and Pippin. But great, where are we going? The fact that he's so willing to jump in and has no idea what's going on. Like the scary black monsters chasing them didn't deter him one little bit. And look at his face.
Yep.
He's like, are we going to the market? Are we going for mushrooms? Where are we going?
Nicole.
Likewise, I think that moment of that it's so funny, and we love it because we love the way that those characters are presented, but also because it's that moment of them demonstrating how committed they are to Frodo and to the Fellowship, that they're totally willing to just dive right in regardless. And and because we love them, we know that is going to mean so much more than they realize, but that it's all going to be worth it.
Justin.
Steph and Matthew in the chat room accurately remind us that when he says that, you have to change the disc.
That's right. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
Which is what I said a couple of days ago, that it's that pivotal moment that always stands out of, oh, great, I'm going to have to get up and change the disc.
I don't do physical media anymore, so I have no clue what you're talking about. Jim?
Yeah. The fireworks, we don't know Merry and Pippin enough. And that disc changing moment, for those of us who bought those DVDs the first time they came out, it was like, bam, the person of intelligence. Where are we going is a great disc changing line.
Joel?
I'm going to go for Where Are We Going? Not just because it's funny, but because I think it's another example of an excellent summarization of part of the book that was left out but captured here, which is in the book, there's some time spent deciding on the membership of the Fellowship.
Right.
And at the end, Gandalf says to Elrond, look, I'd rather trust on the friendship. That's why Merry and Pippin are going. Let's trust on friendship in this case. And in that case, you see that here, that these four are, other than everyone, you don't know Sam's courage quite yet at this point. Frodo's kind of self-sacrificing in this. But the point is these four are being allowed to go. They are capable. They are capable of nothing other than companionship, loyalty, and love for each other. And you can see that in this joke. You can just see they will be with each other.
And
they
that's
will support each other.
And that's just as important in any team in any kind of environment.
Yeah.
You don't always have to bring that physical sword or axe or bow.
Could have had Glorfindel though. Didn't get it.
So this is, let's see what happened. I think we're all in agreement. Why don't we throw out some numbers on the percentage of the win here?
Let's see it.
Just reveal it.
1.
It burns. It burns.
70%. 70% shows where we're going. Yeah, the
And
fireworks, there was fireworks blown on
Yeah,
us.
exactly. It goes with the burn faces.
Mission.
Jamie Wilkinson in the chat room accurately says that Elron's response tops it all off.
The eyebrow.
So happy birthday to Elron
Hugo.
himself. Hugo Weaving just turned 60 yesterday.
And if you haven't watched his video with Sam Neill, you should totally watch that bathtub.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds amazing just by the description. So we will look it up after. Here we are at the Sweet 16 for the Laughter Division. I'm going to start with Justin. Let's give us your choices for who's coming out of this next round.
I think we're gonna get Second Breakfast versus Where Are We Going, and it's just gonna be a Pippin fest until the end.
Nicole?
Yeah, I think that seems likely to happen. People love Pippin, and Gimli has some great moments, and I think that they could arguably be better jokes, but I think that because Pippin is more charming, he's going to win out. So I think it's totally going to be Where Are We Going versus Second Breakfast.
Joel?
It's going to be Where Are We Going versus Second Breakfast, and the constant continued references to Second Breakfast and memes and everything, like was mentioned earlier for the other category, is going to carry Second Breakfast through to the end of this one.
Nice. Chelsea?
Agreed with everybody. Second Breakfast versus Where Are We Going? It's going to be Pippin all the way, which I'm completely stoked about. But also, how the heck do I pick between those two scenes?
Jim?
I'm gonna call the upset. I think that Gimli Toss Me has more legs than I wish. I think he's gonna move on, and he's gonna face up against Where Are We Going? So I think it's gonna be a Gimli Pippin final in this region.
Nice. Kathy?
I kind of hope so. Gosh, I don't. If Gimli Toss Me and Find You a Box were competing against each other, which they aren't, then I would say Toss Me. But I kind of think Second Breakfast and Where Are We Going? I think it's going to be all Pippin.
All right. I'm going with the Pippin as well. I think it's pretty clear that Pippin is the laughter portion of Lord of the Rings, and he's appropriately coming out of this division. Let's move on to our final division of the evening, our drama and action sequence division. And here we go with the current lineup. We're going to go right into the matchups. We have Gollum falling into the cracks of doom, and Eowyn versus the Witch King. Let's Kathy lead us off here.
Well, I think I am with Eowyn on this one. I mean, like I said over and over again, I literally jumped out of my seat, screamed at the screen when I saw this in the theater in Westwood at the premiere. Luckily, I was in the back row. But I've been waiting for that scene for the entire movies. I've been waiting for that matchup. And so for me, that's Eowyn.
All right, let's go to Chelsea.
I'm right there with you. I Am No Man is a very powerful moment, and that's what I'm rooting for.
Joel?
Yep, Eowyn and the Witch King. That, as was mentioned, the audience loved it. I think they still love it. I think it's empowering. I think it's a wonderful message of both the book and the films.
Nicole?
Girl power all the way. I am 100% with Eowyn.
Jim?
I think Eowyn's going to win. I wish it was the Cracks of Doom because I think it's what Tolkien called a eucatastrophe. It is the point of the whole three films. Everything's been building up to that point. So while my heart would say Gollum, I think Eowyn's and the Witch King is going to win.
And Justin?
Well, one of these is all CGI, and one of them is real acting. So I got to go with the acting. Eowyn.
I'm also gonna go with I loved. I mean, I loved well, both of these scenes, but I definitely loved the Eowyn Witch King sequence because what was most amazing when we first got to experience these films is you don't know what they're gonna do, right? You just don't know how they're gonna execute what was in the book, and it's that anticipation of that, and then the result, right? Like, and this is in every scene, right? The result from every scene, and that was one of the way more satisfying moments in all of it. And so yeah, I think this is a clear winner. I think it's going to come pretty big. I'm going to say, I forget. Yeah, I made this presentation. I already forgot what it was, but it was high. Any guesses on the percentage?
Yeah, 90.
Jim, you're getting love from the chat room for using the word eucatastrophe.
There you go.
All right.
Around 75.
80%.
So let me ask you guys this: famously or infamously, Harvey Weinstein told Peter Jackson not to cast Mira Sorvino in the role of Eowyn. Do you think Mira Sorvino would have delivered it, or?
God, I could have gone like all year without it. I mean, 2020 has been bad enough that I didn't have to hear that guy's name again.
Yeah.
You know, that's the anyway.
Stop it, Justin.
I'm assaulted.
You know, the only I know it wouldn't have been a better casting choice in my opinion.
No.
Miranda
Otto
was absolutely amazing. Unknown, really taking on that role and owning it. I mean, it's really, really impressive. So let's see this.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I believe the actor that played Lurtz is the actor
Also,
who is the
Yes.
witch.
Yeah, Lawrence McCory.
Yeah.
Yes. And I believe he's also Gothmog.
Oh, yes, he is. He's a lot of things, just like Jed Brophy's a lot of things.
Oh, chills.
Oh, yeah.
No man.
Oh my gosh, still chills, even though you know what's going on. So obviously a strong contender in that division. Our next sequence,
Oh, yeah.
we got Boromir saving Merry and Pippin from the orcs, the Uruk-hai, and Gandalf versus the Balrog. What's interesting is when I was pulling the clip, actually, the Gandalf versus Balrog is a longer battle sequence I didn't pull necessarily, but the Boromir one is also a long sequence.
Long. It is long.
So they're two long sequences that competing against each other. Say again, Chelsea?
Someone in the chat room said that he was also the Balrog.
Is that right?
Lawrence
Interesting.
McCory.
Lawrence?
Maybe.
Wow.
Hey, speaking of Lawrence, remember Salah Baker? I saw him
Yeah.
in an episode of
Westworld.
well, not only Westworld, he was just in another episode of a TV show I watch. I was like, whoa, hey,
The Mandalorian.
Was he in that one?
Yeah, he's in both.
He's in a
he's
lot of things. He was in one of the Sherlock Holmes movies.
Yeah, this was anyway. Totally off tangent there. Sorry. We have Boromir. So let's go around the room, starting with Jim.
It's Gandalf and the Balrog. What a you shall not pass. That's got to win.
Yep. Nicole.
Well, as Rasputin the evil Balrog, I've got to go with
Kathy.
choice.
For me, again, they're both epic scenes and they were both so well executed, but I've got to go with Boromir for my personal reasons, simply because this is his chance at redemption. And he fights it so well, and then he slowly dies and continues to fight, and bodies everywhere, and yeah.
Joel.
Wasn't it the Gandalf versus Balrog scene that was shown at Cannes, I believe, and suddenly Lord of the Rings became a critical darling and anticipated by the serious film establishment?
Well, no, they got up right to the point in which the Balrog would have revealed himself.
No, they didn't reveal
It was a cave troll scene.
Yeah, it's the cave troll and
The
fight.
cave troll scene is the
Okay.
one.
Well,
Yep.
that shows my knowledge or lack thereof.
Remember, I was there, Joel. I was at that thing.
That's what I asked. And so
Yeah.
the thing is I'd still say Gandalf versus the Balrog. I mean, come on. That is.
They probably weren't done with the CG by then, by Khan.
Yep. Yeah, they weren't. That's
Gandalf
what they
Gandalf
said.
versus the Balrog all the way, like everyone is saying.
Justin?
Everyone.
Yeah, it's the Balrog. Let's just see it.
Chelsea?
Let's just see it. It's the Balrog.
Okay. It is the Balrog.
Yeah,
57% of the vote, though.
pretty
It's a
close.
close vote.
So
Boromir, people love Boromir.
on an early episode of Torn Tuesday, Jim Rigel, the visual effects supervisor, said that the CGI algorithm for the fire on the Balrog was so good that he kept blowing himself out.
Oh my gosh.
This scene is so amazing. I just can't.
Oh my gosh.
Wielder of the flame of Arnor.
Oh gosh.
So is it the flame of Arnor or the flame of Ud? What does he
Anor.
carry?
Anor.
Honor?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's right.
Not Arnor, the land.
Correct.
Yeah, no.
And
He's
Honor.
referring back
All
to the
the
film.
Balrog, Flame of Verdun.
Yeah, the Balrog is Flame of Badun.
But the he carries the flame of Anur.
Keeper of the sacred fire and wielder
Yeah.
of the flame of Anor.
Is that something that we could see in Amazon's Second Age show?
I don't know.
Is that before or after the nude sequences?
We know you're watching Amazon with us.
and realize Gandalf carried and wielded the Ring of Fire, and so Gandalf was an example of fire to good use as opposed to the Balrogs and others being.
Oh yeah, that's right. So he had the Ring of Fire. That was one of the 3 Elven rings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Johnny Cash got it.
Right.
Oh, that's right. So Johnny Cash just fell into it.
Ring
He
of
never had
fire.
it.
He never wielded it. All right, so for next matchup, we've got my personal favorite, as we've discussed in previous shows, the 11th seed Faramir's Charge versus number 3 Gandalf and Aramir's Dawn
This
Charge.
one
to
comes down to basically which is your favorite movie, Two Towers or Return of the King?
Charging, yeah.
And
And
for
so
me,
Justin,
it's the
lead
Two
us off there.
Towers.
Justin, what's your choice here?
Look, Two Towers is the best of the 3 movies. I will argue on that hill until I die, and it is the ending, the climax, the payoff of just every single line of dialogue that Gandalf the White says earlier in the movie is suddenly paid off, and your mind just explodes with all the connective tissue. It's so good.
Jim?
Yeah, I'm going with the Éomer Gandalf Charge. There are some real beautiful shots in the Faramir Charge. Leading up to that, it was almost like Renaissance paintings, one after the other.
Yeah.
But this charge, there was a sequence of lines where the sun is rising.
Yep.
Gandalf shows up and Gimli blows the horn, and they've had the charge down the causeway, and then these guys come over the ridge, and the sun blinds the. It's amazing. So I got to go with
Chelsea?
Home is behind the world.
Yes. Yes.
Faramir Charge.
All right, Nicole?
Well, I was the one who suggested we needed a whole thing of just all the charges, because there are so many great ones, and it's really hard to pick between them. But I would have put Faramir's Charge in the Tearjerker category anyway.
Yes, I would have done that too, by the way. Yep.
I think I was maybe one of the first ones to suggest that as a contender, but I can't put it against Gandalf and Éomer charging into Helm's Deep, because that scene is just so spectacular. And as much as it pains me to agree with Justin about most things, Towers is also my favorite movie of the 3. So I have to go with the Dawn Charge at Helm's Deep.
Kathy?
It's going to say, for me, it's the music that does it. Now, the music is fabulous because you get, that sad elegy, as Faramir, as they're riding down through the city, And then you get Pippin's song as they slow motion into battle, knowing they're all going to die. But again, Gandalf and Aramir's charge is 5 days of battle for Helm's Deep, and the fact that they're all alone until they're suddenly not all alone. And yeah, the music that again, Howard Shore is the genius, and this was the one movie he didn't actually win an Oscar for.
Yeah,
but this music and the dawn, the light was fabulous.
Yeah.
Joel?
I'm going to go with the charge to Helm's Deep for a couple of reasons. And one that hasn't been mentioned is I think of Faramir's charge as it's certainly full of action, but it's almost like part of a tragedy or a recollection, or it's tied to this song so much. Whereas this is the climax and to a very long Helm's Deep sequence and capstones it. So in terms of being pure action, I'd go that one.
Yeah.
And I, as I was saying, Faramir's Charge is my favorite sequence in the entire trilogy. Cinematography and directing and prop use, and the blood of the tomato coming down the mouth.
The cherry, right?
Yeah, it's just so dramatic. And Faramir is, after Sam, my favorite character. Yeah. So following in that, I mean, that sequence for me, I was bawling like a little baby. That's why I thought it would be in Tearjerker. And actually, when I was putting this together, I'm in charge of making the graphics and stuff, and I'm doing Tearjerking, and I'm putting it in there, and I'm like, wait a second, where the hell's Faramir's Charge? That's the one that made me cry the most. And then I was actually writing a letter to staff in an email, right? Because I had not really participated in the creation of all the options, and I was about to tell everyone, how dare you don't put Faramir's Charge in this bracket? And then I saw you had it in the other one. So
we missed a few others too.
Yeah. So let's just see.
It is clearly misbracketed. You're absolutely right.
So all right, let's go. Here we go. Goodbye, Faramir.
Oh, that hurts.
Oh, that says. Oh, that's sorry. That's a mistake on mine. It's 72%. 72%.
That hurts my soul.
Faramir was the character that Tolkien identified with the most. It wasn't a.
Oh, okay.
So you're saying we just voted out Tolkien? Okay.
Yeah, we did.
See, we were right all along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you can hear the charge whether it's on mute or you're listening to the music, and I mean, just look at that.
Yeah,
you've never seen anything like that on screen ever.
Yep.
This is the first use of massive army technology from Weta Digital. And then the sunlight comes out, and
there it is.
Payoff is everything.
Boom.
I thought they used massive for the prologue scene in Fellowship.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Well, and when it comes to the orcs, I mean, this group of actors in the Uruk-hai had been there. It took them months to film the night scenes of Helm's Deep, and so this final battle is sort of like. I mean, the fact that how much they all put into that effort, it's sort of like a big payoff to all of your actors as well.
So yeah, massive was first used for the original, the original sequence in Fellowship. I mean, it's used through the whole thing. They created it just for this, but you just again looking at how things hold up for 20 years ago. You know what I mean? It's just amazing.
By the way, the chat room agrees with most of you. That the wrong team just won.
Really?
Yep. All right, so moving on, we got the 7th seed, the Ents Go to War, and the 2nd seed, the Charge of the Rohirrim. Let's start with Nicole.
Oh, this was my biggest Sophie's choice of this entire round. I love both of these scenes so much. I mean, my heart just beats for the last March of the Ents and that whole speech from Treebeard, and it's just an amazing scene in my favorite movie. But then the Charge of the Rohirrim and Theoden's speech before Pelennor, it's I couldn't decide, and I think I ultimately I think I went with the Charge of the Rohirrim because it's such a final part of the puzzle for me. I really almost had to do a coin flip on this one. It was too hard.
Joel?
Oh, the Charge of the Rohirrim all the way. The speech beforehand to the whole scene of merging into the other army. And to me, it echoes and amplifies what we just watched in the previous one, right? There's a small portion of the Rohirrim coming down from a hill into action, into a battle. Here, this just repeats, magnifies, makes it perfect.
Kathy?
Okay, yeah. So the emotional resonance of the this was a hard choice for me, but of the Ents with Treebeard saying, some of these trees were my friends. I've known them since they were acorns and seeds. I mean, very resonant, and the music for it and them charging and realizing their power is really epic. But the Rohirrim showing up because Gondor was on the brink. You know, you transpose it with Gandalf and Pippin having their discussion about the, which is another scene we completely missed, getting into tearjerkers, by the way. It was that discussion about the far green fields and everything, the far country. Yeah. But so them showing up and being a cavalry, you know, something, because everything else has been ground troops. And of course, you know, they have an aerial assault with the fell beasts, but the Rohirrim showing up completely turned the tide. You know, they've heard.
Yeah. Justin?
You know, the Rohirrim, it's great, but to me, it's just men fighting men. There's something about the Ents that take everything in this trilogy and takes it up to a higher level of existence. And something about the Ents going to war is like the earth battling back against, you know, more than just a group of men or creatures. Like it is nature battling a whole ecosystem. And as Matthew says in the chat room, the Ents was something so different than anything ever seen on film before. It was like watching something biblical.
Wow. Chelsea?
I have to go with the Charge of the Rohirrim. Everything about that moment was, especially because taking into account it's the drama action category, like I remember watching this for the first time and being completely on the edge of my seat, everything is screwed, even though I knew what was going to come. I was and then being oh yes, you know, it captivated me. And it's beautiful.
Jim?
When I saw the Two Towers trailer, when they showed the Ents marching on Isengard, that was one of my, wow, they got that right moments. But this Charge of the Rohirrim, this is the scene that stopped Tolkien in his emotional tracks. Because when the Witch King is about to enter Minas Tirith, and then in the book, a cock crows, and then the Rohirrim crest, and then they charge. And it's so I really want Charge of the Rohirrim to win, regardless of what happens.
All right,
Jim, absolutely.
All right, so that was the number 2 seed against the number 7 seed. Let's see who came out.
All right.
Charge of the Rohirrim with 69% of the vote.
Woo woo! Yeah.
Hey.
We're really quiet there, no one saying anything.
Here we go.
One of my favorite things about this scene was when Peter Jackson talked about how about the number of riders that were represented, that he made sure that there were the same number as there were historically in the largest cavalry charge in history or the last cavalry charge in World War I, which he's a big World War I buff.
That's true, he is.
That he made sure that if you go in and count all of the riders, you can count that many.
There's a plug for They Shall Not Grow Old.
Yeah.
Which is a great movie, by the way.
Yeah.
That was
incredible.
Right now.
The sound design on this scene is so good. Just thinking about how many pieces of audio you have to mix together between the horsefoots, the horses, and the clanking, and the spears, and the orcs, and the weather, and the slow-mo versus regular motion. It's so good.
It's why the sound team won all those Oscars.
And again,
Sunrises.
yep.
Did anybody else get concerned that either Theoden had a really dull sword or he was damaging spears?
Well, he's also left-handed, so they actually had to reverse that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. He did it.
All right, I gotta stop it because maybe the copyright people like it was a long sequence. All right, so our final Sweet 16 here. I'm gonna start with you, Jim.
Wow, gonna make me start.
Yep.
I think it's going to be Éowyn versus the Witch King. I think that's going to get a lot of sympathetic votes for it, although it's going to be tight. So I'll go with Éowyn. And then, as you heard, I want the Charge of the Rohirrim to go. It's going to beat the Gandalf Erebor Charge. So those are her moving on.
Got it. Let's go to Joel.
This is Rohan's category, so it's going to be Éowyn versus the Witch King versus Charge of the Rohirrim. And I think we're going to get at the end of the day. People love the speech from King Theoden before it, and it's going to go to Charge of the Rohirrim.
Wow.
And who you choosing? You're choosing Éowyn and the Witch King above.
Yes.
All right, Kathy.
Oh, goodness. I don't know. That's a real tough matchup between Éowyn versus the Witch King and Gandalf and the Balrog, because those scenes are so very well done. I want Éowyn versus the Witch King to win, but I have a feeling Gandalf versus the Balrog, if nothing else, because of Fly, You Fools. In the second one, obviously the Charge of the Rohirrim is going to outmatch the smaller charge.
All right, Nicole.
Well, for the sake of the panel that we keep trying to do at all the cons, and one day, Comic-Con will have our Women in Tolkien panel, which is called I Am No Man. I've got to go with Éowyn coming out on top. And, I worry that that it won't win just because sexism. But I think people really love that moment, and we have a lot of women and people who love Éowyn's character in this, and I think she's going to come out on top. And then the two different charges, as much as I personally love the Gandalf and Éomer charge at Helm's Deep, I think that between the two, the Charge of the Rohirrim is just much more spectacular, and it's going to come out on top.
Chelsea.
Oh boy. I kind of agree with Nicole, not to make it a sexist thing, but I feel like as much as I want I Am No Man to make it, that the internet loves Gandalf, and the Gandalf versus Balrog scene was probably more dramatic and action-packed, if I'm just purely going off the category, than just how powerfully that line hit for me. But personally, I have no idea what I'm actually going to vote for. That's really hard. Otherwise, Charge of the Rohirrim, that's definitely going into one of those spots.
Justin? Okay.
I do kind of hope that the Éowyn and Gandalf versus Balrog ends up in like a 60-40, if not closer, percentage.
Justin?
I'm just reading the comments from the chat room. Lou Scott Bretsky reminds us that Dragon Con 2013 had a Women in Tolkien panel.
Oh yeah, we do that.
Yeah, we did a Women in Tolkien panel at LA Comic-Con
a few years ago.
Yeah,
that's right. But I gotta go with my guy Ralvin in the chat room. I believe he's in Malaysia, if I recall correctly. The Gandalf versus Balrog's going to win everything. Again, I'm going off meme magic. The meme will win.
The meme for the win.
T-shirt that Justin needs to make is a meme magic T-shirt.
So it's going to be Gandalf versus Balrog, and then the next battle, I think it's Gandalf going to win again with Éomer and the end charge of the two towers. It's just so much more powerful to me because there's so much more going on besides a great speech. There is like the use of nature and sunlight and good and the white horse and the white steed going into the darkness of the orcs, and I don't know, it's just so good.
So you're doubling down on Gandalf.
Yeah, I guess so. So it's interesting to note in this division, we have basically the top seeded. The only one that didn't come out there was Boromir Saving the Hobbits, and that was a closer sort of matchup in the last round. What's interesting is you guys bring up the sexist angle. I don't think that's an issue in the Lord of the Rings community. If you look at our stats, which I guess exclusively have access to, the the female component of our fandom is about 70%. So it's a 70% to 30. Yeah, it was always a large female component. So I would expect that comes across here as well in these competitions.
Well, and the component of women in the world is more than 50%. That doesn't stop sexism from still being a thing.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying it's not going to happen in this for sure. Eowyn's going in, and she'll be coming out of this round as an easy number 1 seed altogether, in my opinion. And you have, I think that I actually am going to go with Justin here again, agreeing with Justin. What is this about? With the Gandalf Faramir charge, only because it beat my Faramir's charge. So that's why it's coming out on this division. So, folks, we have our setup here for our Sweet 16. This next round goes through the 8th at 10 p.m. We actually have
tomorrow morning, right?
And we have the voting open right now. You can actually hit that link. No, you can't obviously click on your screen, but if you go through you just type that in. You should be able to get to the round 3 survey that's live now.
I need to cogitate for a while first before I try to go figure those out.
But you're already committed.
I'm gonna have to sleep on this one for a minute.
And we'll have this up on the OneRing.net in the morning. The post will be. But you guys who watch the show, stay with us for a good an hour and a half. To talk this stuff through. You get the first chance to vote and tell your friends about it. We had a little less voting in this round than the first round, but I'm thinking now the matchups are a little more contentious and people are going to be a little more aggressive to get their winner through. So make sure you share that and hit up all the different channels.
Chris, Shelby in the chat room says she's grieving with you. And we got another comment from Skylar White saying, "Good job on the reveals, Christopher. Excellent show to all."
Nice.
And I also just want to say, if anybody wants some more fun voting before we get to the results of April 8th, I made a fun little thing for Instagram. If you guys are on Instagram, it's a Lord of the Rings this or that. I don't know if you can actually, it won't come through. It's going to blur out. But if you go to Uncool Rockstar, that's me on Instagram. I have a template up right now, and you can do a little this or that you can share on your personal Instagram stories with your friends, like Frodo versus Sam, Rivendell versus Lothlorien, stuff like that. So extra voting fun while you wait for the next round of results. I
can't wait to get to the final 4 and we come out of our categories and have like the tearjerkers going head to head with dramatic scenes, and people have to really think about why a particular scene is their favorite in those kind of matchups.
Yeah, I think let's get some final notes from everybody here, and just a small note. Well, afterwards we'll do the after the final notes. Go ahead. Let's start with. I'm going in my gallery view. Actually, no, I'm going to go off what's on Facebook Live. So, Nicole, why don't we start with you for your final notes here?
That was my final note.
All right.
It's in the final 4 that we get out of the categories.
All right, I'll give my final notes. I cannot wait till the Final Four as well. This is one of the more exciting Middle-earth March Madness events we've done. We've been doing them since 2012. I think this is our 9th year. I think that's right.
Yeah.
But this has been one of the best in our history, in my opinion, and I think people are really getting into it. So I'm excited, and I hope we do a mid-round live stream. Kathy.
I was going to say, when we post a story, I know we don't want to use like video clips, but it would be great if we get some images, some screenshots that match up with some of these scenes and everything like that to put in, because to help engage, particularly across the social media. So I'm going to see if I can't with like Twitter and my Facebook of putting some posts up. Also, one of the things that I noticed is like in articles, we're still saying, hey, if you've got any ideas or comments or whatever, comment below. But at the moment, it doesn't look like comments are turning on.
Kathy, this wasn't a let's talk what's technically wrong with the One Ring right now. That wasn't what we're talking about. This was a what are your final notes for this round and to going to the next now. Yeah, I understand. Thank you for the technical issues.
Chris, we have a final note from someone in the chat room. Stone Monkey says the gift for Eowyn versus Witch King and Gandalf versus Balrog is switched in the survey.
Okay, well, thank you. I will thank you for all the technical notes, everybody. This is great.
Okay, all right, so notes, yes. I can't wait to see the final four.
Oh, God, everyone's a critic.
No, I just want more engagement. I mean, if we want more people, I want more engagement.
No, that's true. I get it. But what are your final notes for the round?
So my final notes for the round is, God, it's going to be scary when we have our tearjerkers and our dramas and our laughter. Actually, I guess laughter is going up against drama. I can't remember which one's on which
side.
Yeah,
laughter's going against drama and action. Yep.
And then scenic versus tearjerkers. Okay, yep. Which means Beacon Fires is going to go against like Bow to No One or something like that. It's going to get crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, we got going next row, Chelsea.
All right. Well, somebody in the chat room just said the choice from here on will be tough, and I kind of feel the same way. Like we're getting down to this like nitty gritty. I'm going to have to start honestly taking charts myself and making like a pro and con list for the scenes because this is getting really tough, guys. I'm just more than anything, I can't wait to see what comes out of it, to see what moves us into the final four, because right now it's like kind of easy for a lot of the scenes. There's no way the final four is going to be an okay to make choice. Like I probably will get emotional voting off some scene that I really want to make it to as well. So yeah.
All right, Jim.
Yeah, this is some kind of fun. I think this has been a great idea of this variation. Looking at the final four, I think the laughter region is the clearest weak link in the three or in the four. My hunch is that, but once the tearjerkers and the scenic and the drama start battling, that's going to be really, really hard. So I think that drama's got a clear shot to the final two, and tearjerkers and scenic's going to be fun to watch.
Joel, what do you got?
A couple things. First, we're down to the final 16. A lot of us are at home all the time now. So it's a great way to escape from some of the troubles. When you're down to 16, you can pull up each of the scenes online, streaming your DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever you have. Really get in deep on these and watch these scenes and cast votes based on them over the next couple days and escape to happier memories.
Yeah, I pulled mine out.
Justin?
Well, a lot of people in the chat room accurately pointed out that voting is a strategy. And some people have been playing Middle-earth March Madness for the first time this year, and others are on for their 7th year. And voting can be a strategy to make sure your favorite scene gets to the end. So I agree with Joel. Take your time, watch the scenes. Most of them are on YouTube, and try to make the right decision that gets your favorite scene to the final brackets, because this is one of the toughest ones we've ever done.
Yeah. And and to go off of what Justin said, don't just watch the scenes on YouTube. We all got time. Go watch the movies again.
Yeah, a lot of this has inspired me to. Well, actually, I picked up the book the other day and started reading the book again, and then I also been listening to soundtracks constantly and watching the films again. So,
but
yeah,
hey, you don't have to watch The Hobbit anymore.
Yeah, that's been swept under the table here.
That's totally
shameful.
Shameful.
Nicole's going to be so upset.
Sorry.
Bye bye Bilbo. Instead of bye bye Birdie, it's bye bye Bilbo.
Oh, yes.
Dear.
So, Justin, I'll let you lead us out, I guess.
All right. Well, this has been your results show for Middle Earth March Madness. Round 3 is open. The Sweet 16, you can vote at theonering.net or find the link in the chat that some people have posted. Voting is 3 days. So we are going to announce the next round of winners. Is it Wednesday
The
night?
8th. Yeah, the 8th.
Okay.
Yeah, the Wednesday night. So tune in for a special results show Wednesday night at the same time. In the meantime, Torn Tuesday returns on our regular Tuesday time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we have a very special show for you. It is the 20th anniversary of the release of the first Lord of the Rings teaser trailer. You remember the one where the screen starts like this and then expands the whole
so
way,
good.
and
So
you
good.
see Richard Taylor working behind the scenes and Peter Jackson saying, "This is the time." We're going to celebrate the release of that with a very special guest, Jed Brophy, executive producer Mark Ordesky, and Sir Richard Taylor himself will be Skyping in from New Zealand to talk about those early days. And who knows who else might pop into the chat. So tune in Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific. I want to thank everybody here tonight for staying up late and joining the conversation. I want to thank you all for watching along with us, because this has been just so fun to play Middle Earth March Madness on multiple days with all of you. And we'll catch you on Tuesday. Thank you guys for joining.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Good health
See
to
ya.
all.
Everybody, good night. Stay safe. Wash your hands.
You're so cute.
Hey, the cool thing is they can turn off their live stream. Yeah, turn off the live stream. We can still talk.
Is this when we